We just spent 3 days in northwestern Arkansas hiking on the first section of the Ozark Highlands Trail. Of course, we brought our dog Brady yet again. This was our second backpacking trip, so please stick around with us until the end to see how our trip went. After a 4 a.m. wake up, we got ready and made the 3-hour drive to the state of Arkansas. This time, our trip is starting off at Lake Fort Smith State Park. Now, Lake Fort Smith State Park is where the western end of the Ozark Highlands Trail is located, and it was where we would be starting off on this trip. The first 2.5 miles were pretty easy, with a bunch of small stream crossings, including one that had this waterfall. There were a lot of downed trees across the trail as a result of recent storms with a lot of wind. We also came across 2 of these chimney-looking things. We don't know exactly what they are, but if you do, please let us know in the comments. But after a fairly easy 2.5 miles, we came across our hardest challenge of day 1, crossing Frog Bayou Creek. First, one of us went ahead to figure out if the water was safe for Brady to get across, and after determining that it wasn't, we realized that there was really only one possible way to get Brady across the creek.
They told us this wasn't passable. Clearly it is.
And after crossing that, we had roughly 4.5 miles before getting to our campsite. We found a spot roughly a quarter mile away from our campsite to stop and refill our waters, which was very important as it was hot on this trip. Then we set up our tent and cooked some dinner. We had some pesto ramen MREs that we had prepared before the trip. I don't know about you guys, but I think food tastes a lot better after you hike 8 miles. Day 2 turned out to be our longest day. We started with a small creek crossing before making the climb up to Dockery's Gap and crossing Old Lock Road. For whatever reason, that climb seemed to give Brady a whole lot of energy, and here you can see him running around Old Lock Road like it's the best day of his life. Downed trees were definitely an issue on this trail too, at times making it even hard to find the trail. Today's big creek crossing was across Hurricane Creek, and this was the biggest one that we decided Brady was able to do by himself. After that, we made a quick turn off the trail to follow an old Forest Service road to Rattlesnake Falls. For me, this was definitely one of my favorite destinations on the trip and one of my favorite waterfalls I have ever seen. And they wouldn't call it Rattlesnake Falls if there were no snakes by the falls. Rattlesnake Falls added a little bit less than a mile to our trip, but it was definitely worth it. As we continued to climb our way up this trail, we eventually caught a view of White Rock Mountain and could clearly see the pavilion at the overlook. By the time we got to the junction with the Shores Lake Loop, we were absolutely exhausted, but from that point, we still had about a mile of climbing. Eventually, we made it to the top of White Rock Mountain. We headed into the general store and reserved a campsite for the night and set up from there. After more than 9 miles of hiking, we were rewarded with this. On day 3, we woke up just on time to enjoy this beautiful sunrise. We made the decision not to do the Shores Lake loop as we had originally planned because we were too tired from the previous day, which resulted in us spending a lot of time at the general store, the managers of which were very friendly and had a lot to talk about. We also called up the rest of our family to ask if they wanted to come camp out for a night with us, and they agreed. Brady was very excited about that. That afternoon, we decided to hike the 2-mile White Rock Rim Trail, which goes along the tops of those giant white cliffs that you can see on White Rock from far away. While some people might be a bit sketched out being at the top of a cliff, this is still a very beginner-friendly trail that has multiple places to stop along the trail if you need a rest. After enjoying the views from the afternoon, we headed down to the overlook to enjoy the sunset. Now, sunsets here are always absolutely amazing, but it was made even better by this guy flying his small plane in front of the sun. After sitting by the fire under the full moon that night, we decided to go to sleep. The next morning, we packed up and headed out, and that was the end of our trip. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you come back for future videos.